welcome back to another episode of BET GPT. This is episode 59, and today we have quite the show for you. We're going to have a WNBA, well, I guess it's not WNBA, it's the Women's Olympic Basketball Team. We're going to be doing a snake draft on who BET GPT would pick to make the roster. We'll talk MLB awards. I have a play that I want to give out at 60-1 that I think has a chance if you want to throw a couple bucks on it. And then we are also going to unveil our MLB All Star Ballots that we just voted on. Hopefully, they're not exactly the same. I have a feeling it'll be mainly the same, but hopefully there's a couple we can fight on.
There's probably a few debates in there.
Yeah, hopefully so. We'll update our college baseball six-pack plays and kind of how that tournament's going. And then obviously get you caught up on the NBA Finals where the Celtics have themselves a 2-0 lead. So, Slade, without further ado, man, I'm going to give you the first pick in the Women's Olympic Team draft.
Honestly, I feel like this is probably the easiest pick in the whole draft. It's Asia Wilson, the best player in the W, averaging 28 and 12 for the Las Vegas Aces. Probably the best team in the league. So best player, best team, best stats. I think that's a safe number one.
Yeah, I do think that's a no-brainer. And I'll follow you up with two. I'll take Alyssa Thomas of the Connecticut Sun. She received the most first-place votes in the WNBA MVP poll last year, but ultimately lost out to Breanna Stewart, who will probably be making this team a little bit later on. So Alyssa Thomas, too.
She's on Connecticut, right?
Yeah.
Okay. For my second pick, but third overall, I will take Kelsey Plum. Shout out Charlie Rose. I know that's his girl. She loves to rock the, what are those? What are like some cool girl outfits as she walks into the arena?
Popcorn's her favorite snack.
Yeah. Yeah. So she's number 3.
Okay, that's gonna be tough to follow up, but I'll go. Probably the best three-point shooter in the league, Sabrina Ionescu from the New York Liberty. My wife went to middle school with her, so there's
biased.
a non-zero chance we get her on the pod. It's like 0.0001.
Okay.
So
okay.
Yeah, keep that in mind. Had to draft her in the top 4.
That's fair. Okay. So what is this, pick 5?
Yeah.
I am going to go with Jackie Young. She is.
That's who I was going to take next.
Okay, she's averaging 18 points, 5 rebounds, 7 assists. She is just well-rounded. She shoots it well. We know she can guard. Again, on one of the best teams in the league, so that matters to me.
I like it. 6, I'll go Breanna Stewart. I feel like that's just the obvious pick here. I'll go best remaining player. She's on the New York Liberty, reigning MVP. Obviously won 4 titles at UConn, even though she thinks those are more impressive than Caitlin Clark's finals appearances, but we'll leave that aside. So Breanna Stewart, 6.
I think you buried the lead there, man. It's Caitlin Clark for me at 7. Just dropped 30 points in her last game. She's playing as we speak. She already has 10 points in the second quarter. I know she had a rough game a couple weeks ago, but I think she's starting to look better. I think it would be good for her to get around the vets and learn a lot from them. Just being around great players all the time. Increase in competition, going from the Big Ten to the Olympic team in a matter of months. I think she could hang. She's playing good basketball. Her team stinks, though.
Yeah, I agree. Good pick. 8, I'll go Jewel Lloyd of the Seattle Storm. Solid player. Really could fit in well with this team, and I'm glad that she actually made the real team. Well deserved.
And I am going to go with pick 9. I'm going to do Chelsea Gray. She She's
Wait,
30.
time out.
What?
You have four aces and Caitlin Clark. That's your team right now? Those are your picks?
Yes, I don't even care that Chelsea Gray is injured right now and not playing. The Olympics, she's got time. Like I said, we need some veterans. We need to keep the team with some veteran role players. She's 31.
Yeah.
Um, been in the W for almost a decade now. She's I think she's played with um, Brianna Stewart, Brittany Griner in the past. Like she can handle her own, and she knows how to play a role. She doesn't have to be you need some people that can be glue pieces that don't need the ball in their hands all the time.
Hmm. Okay. Okay. I like it. 10, I'll go Nafisa Collier out of the Minnesota Lynx. She's another player who's out on the actual roster, and I think it's well deserved. I'm not necessarily sure if she's going to be a starter or play big minutes, but will be good off the bench.
And
Pick 11, your last pick. Who you
my
got?
last pick, similar to pick 9, I'm going with someone that is okay just being a role player. They can be a great role player. They can carry you at moments, energizer, just someone gritty and tough and does all the small things right. A fan favorite, a top selling jersey in the league, someone that would bring a lot of attention to the league. Um, Kate Martin.
Wow. Okay. Caitlin Clark's teammate. All right.
I saw
Teammate from
something that
college.
had her as the number 2. Some article had her as the number 2 rookie behind Cameron Brink this year. I think that's some high praise, and I think it's well deserved. And again, just someone that can kind of be a chameleon and just be whatever they need her to be.
I like that. Good pick. And then last up, I'll go Cooper to round out the top 12. She's out of the Phoenix Mercury and slightly edging out teammate. These are the honorable mention here. We have Diana Taurasi. She's just a little old. I don't know. I think she needs the 3-week break that the WNBA is providing for the Olympics.
Hmm.
So I think it'd be good for her to sit this one out in our version of this team. And then also Brittany Griner coming off a toe injury, coming off, just these long seasons in Russia, spending a lot of time overseas. I think it'd
Hmm.
be good for her to get this rest too. So
Yep.
that's our Olympic team: Asia Wilson, Alyssa Thomas, Kelsey Plum, Sabrina Ionescu, Jackie Young, Brianna Stewart, Caitlin Clark, Jewel Lloyd, Chelsea Gray, Nafisa Collier, Kate Martin, Clea Cooper. So NBC, you're welcome for the ratings boost. That's all I'm gonna
Yep.
say. Okay.
That was fun.
That was good. That was a little kind of out of the realm of what we normally do, but that's what the people needed to hear. So that will be clipped and put on our TikTok. But all right. Let's go into some more back into the gambling space here. We'll talk MLB awards, and for those of you who are in the jurisdictions of DraftKings, um, Jace, is it Jason or Jason? What is this? Jason Dominguez, Jasson Dominguez, out of the New York Yankees
Jason.
organization.
I think it's just I don't know.
We'll go Jason Dominguez. He's 60-1 to win AL Rookie of the Year. He's rehabbing a Tommy John surgery from last September, so he already played 8 games with the Yankees last year, where he hit 4 home runs. In 19 minor league games this year, he's hitting 377 with a 1.122 OPS. Is that good?
I'd say so.
Seems good. AAA, he's had 20 at bats. He's 10 of 20 with 2 homers and 3 doubles. The issue is there's no space for him to play on the
Yeah, an
Yankees, which is why his
outfielder on the
number's so
Yankees
good.
is kind of tough.
How about they kick Giancarlo Stanton to the curb, because he is not good. He's good for a highlight reel home run every 7th game, and other than that, he doesn't do anything.
I don't know about
So
that. He's got
he has a
15 dongs.
he's got a 0.1 WAR.
Well, he's a DH, so he's not getting any defensive value, but still 15 dongs doesn't grow on trees. On June 10th, he's on pace to hit
They
like
don't.
35.
He doesn't. No,
He doesn't need to
I don't
play
see
every
it.
day, but he should. If you're facing lefties, you're not going to get rid of him.
Dude, did you see what he did against the Dodgers this past weekend? He went 0 of 14 with 7 strikeouts. He does not have the juice anymore.
0 of 14. That's just that's just a week for a
This
Cubs
is
position player.
this is I don't want to talk MLB who you voted for in the All-Star game quite yet, but something tells me you voted Giancarlo Stanton to make the
No.
All-Star team.
No. What I did for mine is I did who I picked and then I put like who was second or who was third. He might have been in that category. Um
Okay.
I'm not gonna lie, I did my ballot like last Thursday, so his like offer wouldn't have counted for that. And
That's
I
fair.
probably would tweak some of my picks maybe just based off the last 5 days and some close races and some injury news and things. But for the most part, I don't think much is going to be have changed since I did it.
Okay. Well, we'll get to that in a second. We'll just wrap up this awards update real quick. But like I said, Jason Dominguez, I think he can somehow get in the lineup. I know Soto's been banged up. Judge has been perfectly healthy. Trent Grissom has been struggling. That's another guy who could take place, but he did hit a 3-run homer last
Yeah,
night.
dude, that guy's hitting .086.
Yeah.
So I don't want
No,
to hear about Stanton's 0 for 14. The series before that, Stanton was 3 for 6 with 3 walks. I think his batting average is now 230, but that means that he was hitting probably like 250, 260 before this series.
yeah,
Not that
that's
it's
fair.
great, but
I know. I just feel very strongly about this. The kid needs to come up. He'd be great for the bottom of that lineup. I know, Glaber hasn't been playing particularly well either. They're not
Verdugo's
going to get
having a
rid of
good
him.
year.
Yeah, which is great for them. So, yeah, 60-1. I would keep an eye on that. I'm not saying you have to play it right now. I did, but I think that number is going to go lower because I think sooner rather than later he's going to be up. The issue though is if he doesn't come up until the trade deadline,
It might
it's going
not
to
be
be
enough
too late.
time. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but that market too. I mean, Luis Heel, he's the pitcher for the Yankees. He's 8-1 right now with a 1.82 ERA and 85 strikeouts. He's your short shot. Other than that, I'm not too particularly impressed with anyone. I know we have Colton Cowser. I think he's going to be his number got up to 12-1 at FanDuel right now somehow. I think that's a little bit too high, especially
Yeah.
because I think he's going to be the everyday center fielder with Cedric Mullins kind of taking a step back. When I was
His
doing my research for this, he went to Sam Houston State. So I wanted to ask you, well, the question is Colton Cowser was drafted in 2021. Who was the most recent Sam Houston State draft pick other than him?
so it wasn't 2021, so it's sooner
It
than
was
that.
2019.
Oh.
It was 2019. Sorry, so right before him. And I'll give you a hint. He's a pitcher.
Hayden Wesneski.
That's correct. Nicely done.
Bang.
Nicely done. Go Bearcats.
Yeah.
So, yeah, Colton Cowser, Luis Heel, but I think Jason Dominguez enters that conversation. So that's where I'm at. AL MVP. Obviously, you're a Gunner guy. You're a Bobby Witt guy. Juan Soto's injured and fell down to plus 450. Do you think he sticks around there? Should we grab him now? What are your thoughts on the market?
I am a little skeptical of any injury news when it comes to these stars because I saw something like they said he might be back already once, and then he admitted like after the game like that was never actually true. There's no chance he was going to be back that day. Now it's kind of like in the air. Like if we found out tomorrow he was going to be on the 10-day IL, would you be shocked? I wouldn't. So
No.
I wouldn't be like pouring into Judge or anything, but I don't think I'd be like feeling super good about betting him until I see him on the field. Because with the
Yeah.
way Judge is playing,
Yeah.
I'm missing 10 days, Judge could hit 5 home runs.
He hits one every single game, it seems like.
Yeah,
So,
he was like not dude, his first month was not good at all. And then now he's at like 24 home runs, and I'm really glad I bet him to lead the league in homers. Like he's
yeah.
up on like by like 3, and I swear it's not like Gunnarson's cooling off. Gunnar Henderson isn't cooling off. Judge is just going nuts.
Gunnarsson is kind of a sick name.
That is kind of. I kind of want
It's a
to. Should
cool
we
nickname.
coin that?
Yeah, we
Trademark
should.
that.
Well, when we get him on the pod, we'll ask him because
Okay.
someday we will have Gunnar Henderson on the pod. Promise. Yeah. So I, yeah, I think Judge does end up winning. I think he ends up staying healthy, and
I
I
think
can't
this.
bet him at plus one thirty
I was gonna
five
say this
though.
number is not. It got a little like the way that him 16-1 was 16 to 20-1 range was kind of ridiculous. I think him at like the plus 130 is also kind of ridiculous. Like I don't think that's a fair number for a guy who's injury prone. And then
Yeah,
also there's just a lot of really good players that he's going up against that are going to have better base running, better defensive value, so higher floors. So he has to keep producing offensively at a higher level than them just to like be on par. So it's not an easy ask by any means.
yeah, yeah. That's a good point. I want to talk about NL Rookie of the Year too. So I do not like saying this, but I think I need to publicly say this. I think Yamamoto is going to be the guy that ends up winning this award. I think that everyone, including myself, was caught up in Shota Imanaga. He's the favorite right now, and rightfully so. He's had the best year. I know he hasn't looked as sharp the past couple outings.
He looked good the last
Yamamoto,
night.
yes, correct. He looked good last night. And maybe he was a product. His previous starts were he was a product of getting too much rest, and that screwed his schedule up. So we'll see. He thought that he was going to start, so he got a medium Dunkin' Donuts coffee, but then didn't. Should have got a small. You know how
Yeah,
that goes.
yeah, happens to me all the time.
Yeah. So Shota's plus 135, Yamamoto plus 340, Skeens plus 360. I do not think that's going to happen. I'm
He's
just going to
gonna be.
write that
They're
off.
not gonna. What's gonna happen is the Pirates are gonna fall out of the race come late August, and they're gonna be like, Skeens was in college last year. Why are we gonna throw him over 150 innings
Yeah.
for a team that has no shot of actually doing anything? So I wouldn't be surprised if they shut him down with 2 to 3 weeks left to go, or just put him in the bullpen or something. They're not gonna let him throw his arm out for nothing.
Yeah, and they could potentially do the same thing with Jared Jones. Not to that extent, but it's definitely possible because those are like their cornerstone guys that they do or if they are ready to win 90 games next year or in the next 2 years, like those guys are going to need to throw 200 innings for them to be able to do that. But where I wanted to look at was Joey Ortiz plus 850 and Mason Wynn plus 2,500. So Ortiz, both these guys in the NL Central actually. Ortiz is the leadoff hitter for the Brewers. I think that's extremely valuable. You saw that with Julio Rodriguez a couple of years ago. You know, these guys have so many opportunities to get on base, to score runs. I have his numbers pulled up here
I feel
for
like I feel like I missed the boat on the Joey Ortiz like
yeah.
50-60 to 1 a month or so ago. Um, the problem with him and Win is I just don't know if they slug enough. Obviously, Win has the shortstop defensive value and the base running and everything like that. He's playing really well though the last like 2-3 weeks. He really struggled to
Yeah.
start the year, but he's been a lot better. He looks like a guy who's going to
Mason
annoy the hell out of the Cubs lately, or for the next few years.
Mason Mason Wynn is in the 90th percentile for slugging, average velocity, barrel percentage, hard hit, and the only thing that's low is his K and whiff percentage, which is obviously, it's a rookie thing. So hopefully that'll improve. I guess not for the sake of the Cubs, but for the sake of if you bet it. And his walk percentage is at 18.2. Like that's pretty good stuff right there.
Yeah,
So I just think,
he only has 3 homers, but he hits the ball hard.
yeah, yeah. So maybe we could see some upward regression there, but I just don't think 25 is a fair number. And I just compare everything to Spencer Strider a couple years ago, where Spencer Strider was amazing. He was 11-5, 2.67 ERA, had 202 strikeouts, and he didn't win. Michael Harris won because he's a hitter. So Not saying Michael Harris didn't deserve it, but I think if it comes down to it, I think Mason Wynn or Joey Ortiz would win over one of these pitchers. Uh, like I said, though, I do think if it is a pitcher, it's going to be Yamamoto. So I'm kind of torn. I'm kind of torn on this market.
I'm still gonna give Shota his credit. I still think he has a decent shot. I wouldn't bet him at this number, but I do have a little more belief than you. I mean, he has over a full run better ERA. He has almost a full win more WAR. The Cubs are 10-2 in his starts. Um, and that's a team that's going to be fighting for 500, whereas the Dodgers would probably still be really good with or without him. So I do think that matters. And I think him being 31, we're not going to have to worry about his innings and just the way he pitches. I feel like he's a guy who is going to be pretty reliable and durable, knock on wood.
That's fair. That's fair. Yeah.
He kind of got
Um,
screwed by that game getting rained out or
oh,
having the rain
totally.
delay. He would have easily gone another couple innings, probably helped his numbers a bit, helped the team a bit. So that kind of screwed him a little.
Yeah. That's how it goes. Everyone's gonna have these poor starts. You just got to respond and not make it a trend. So, I mean, you're seeing that with the AL. Scooble didn't look great a couple starts ago. He just looked okay, and then he put together two really
Mm-hmm.
solid starts and has continued to kind of build his lead in the AL Cy Young race, which would be great for my wallet. Be taking another trip to Europe if that hits. So, all right, you want to do the MLB All Star ballot?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Let's just go position by position. Um, I don't know. Let's just try to spend maybe 10 minutes or less on this. This is quite a bit, but uh, let's start with American League first base. Who you got?
Um, I had Josh Naylor. I'm a little torn though because I think Ryan Mountcastle and Vladdy Jr. are making a push here as Josh Naylor is cooling. So if you ask me this in like a week, that answer could easily flip to one of them.
Interesting. I thought Mount Castle was an option. I did not even really think about Vladdy
He is
just because
hot,
there's been
hot,
so much.
hot.
Is he really? I guess I haven't been paying attention. All I hear is
Yeah.
negative things about
He
him.
he's hitting 39% above league average against right-handed pitching. Over his last 31 games, he's hitting like 315 with I just saw a stat. Oh, here it is. Over his last 31 games, he's hitting 358 with a 442 on
Jeez.
base and a 508 slugging, 19 RBIs. His OPS over these 31 games went from 675 to 807. So obviously, he's not going to sustain this level all year. We probably will never see him have a 40 plus home run season again. I don't know if he's I mean, he's probably capable of it. It's just you can't bank it like we thought we were going to be able to years ago. Um,
Yeah.
but Ryan Mountcastle, got to give him a lot of credit. He doesn't get talked about enough for what he does with the Orioles. He's got 11 homers, 276 batting average, 32 RBIs. He's hitting 35% above league average. Um, I think an honorable mention candidate for me.
Okay. Yeah, and I mean, I went with Josh Naylor. Those guys would probably be at least Mountcastle would for sure be second for me. Um, I just think I have to give Naylor the edge because the Guardians have been such a surprise this year, and he's been a big part of it. Him and Jose Ramirez, obviously. So that's why I'd give him the nod here. But second base, I went with Marcus Simeon, the Rangers.
I thought he was having a little bit of a down year. Is that true?
Um, I feel like that's how he starts every single year for whatever reason. Um, I can pull up his baseball reference here. When I was looking at his stats, they were
But
okay.
it looks like he's
This
yeah.
this
I had the same
yeah,
pick.
this
I just thought it was I just thought that I saw that he
yeah.
was like having his worst start in a few years. But yes, I have the same pick. And I think we're
I
both
mean,
probably
he
gonna have Jose for third base, right?
Yeah. I
I
mean,
think,
second base is so weak, and we're not picking Altuve, so
yeah.
it has to be
I was
Semien.
gonna say if which position was easiest for you in the American League because mine was third base.
100%. It wasn't. I looked. I knew I was already going to pick Jose Ramirez, but I looked and I was like, no, this is not even a thing.
Yeah,
Because
I
you go
put
into shortstop here. Go ahead.
yeah, I was gonna say the only other good third baseman was Devers, and that was like a 1 week
Yeah.
thing. But yes,
Yeah.
shortstop. This one I could go a million different ways. I I s- I labored
Yeah.
over this one, and I had to go into some research. But do you have a guess of where I landed?
I just can tell by your facial expressions you picked Bobby Witt Jr. I can tell.
No, I took Gunner.
Wow. Okay. I took
Gunner.
Gunner too, and we have nothing to argue about. I thought for sure you're going to be a Bobby Witt guy.
I was very close. I flip flopped, but Gunner's got 21 home runs, dude. He's on pace to hit 40 homers and play shortstop. He's got a 4.4 WAR right now, 74% up, hitting 74% above league average. Where Bobby beats him is he's grading out a little better defensively at shortstop, and um, he has more stolen bases by a pretty significant margin. I think Gunner's only got like 8 steals. That's not really part of his game.
Yeah.
Bobby's got 19, so that's a nice plus. But Bobby's at 3.9 WAR, so half a win difference so far.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, you look at the Orioles too. I give him an edge because they also have one of the best records in the AL. Whereas I know the Royals are vastly overperforming what a lot of people thought. So credit to them. They are probably, they're at least in contention for a wild card spot, which would be a good story. But yeah, I had to give Gunner the edge there. But both guys super deserving. Both guys will make it. It's just a matter of who's going to be starting, and we both think it should be Gunner. Did you have trouble in the outfield? Because this took me like 2 seconds to pick the first two, and then the third one, I was like, oh, duh.
You just took all the two Yankees and then Kyle Tucker.
Yeah, Judge, Soto, Tucker.
Yep. And then DH
Yeah.
Alvarez. All right. That was who's your
Yep.
catcher?
My catcher, Salvador Perez.
I did too, but I looked. He's had a rough couple weeks. Adley Rutschman's making a strong push
Adley Rutschman did just hit a grand slam.
right now.
No, yesterday.
Oh, okay. I think he had a multi-homer game too. Um, yeah, I mean Salvador Perez has 10 homers, Adley 13, Adley 2.5 WAR, Salvador Perez 1.9. Um, Salvador was hitting like 340 like 2 weeks ago. Now he's hitting 300. I don't think he's gotten a hit in like a week, but I I would probably flip it to Adley as of today. But when I wrote this, I did put Perez in on Thursday.
Yeah, I voted for this last week as well. I'll stick with Salvador Perez, but that is,
I do have
I would not be
Salvador
mad
Perez. We're
after that.
recording this on June 10th. I I did put a bet on Salvador Perez to homer tonight for whatever that's worth.
If anyone is listening to this live somehow, bet it. However, unfortunately, that's not. I do. I need to get the YouTube set up pretty soon. It's going to be an every night thing. We're either going to be podding or we're going to be playing each other in NCAA football.
Oh my
So
god, football season's
um,
gonna be
tune
amazing.
tune in for us streaming that. All right, let's go to the NL. I went with Bryce Harper at first base. One of your favorite
Yep,
MVP picks.
yep.
Okay,
I don't think that one's really close, and I don't think second base was that
second
close either.
base. Second base, I know you wanted to pick Nico. It's just not in the cards.
He's not good enough.
Yeah.
Sucks, but it is what it is. Cattell Marte,
So who'd you go? Yeah, Marta.
and then
Yep.
Bomb for third base.
Yep, he's been great. He's been
There's
great.
no good third baseman in the NL anymore, but it was crazy is like 5 years ago, we would have probably said that was the deepest position because you had Nolan Arenado, who's fallen off. You had Chris Bryant.
Rendon.
Yeah, you had Chris Bryant, who had just come off an MVP. You had Anthony Rendon, who was awesome and just won a ring. Like all of these guys that we were talking about, they're just like either old, washed, or switched leagues. I don't know. It's kind of crazy.
Yeah, yeah.
Austin Riley's been hurt.
Yeah, he has not been. I had a bet on Austin Riley to lead the league in homers, and that's not even gonna sniff a chance. So shortstop, I went Mookie Betts.
Yep.
I don't think he's the best shortstop as a defensive player by any means, but he is obviously number one in MVP odds for a reason. So
Yep.
moving him there. Outfields, I went with two Padres, Jerkson Profar, who's having an unreal year, and Fernando
Mhm.
Tatis, as well as Christian Yelich,
I'm
unfortunately.
really surprised that we went the same. I had Tatis, Yelich, and Profar in that order. And
Okay.
did you consider any honorable mentions, or did you just only?
I did not write any down, but who do you got?
My first out was Teoscar Hernandez. He's having a really strong year. I felt like he was
Yeah.
deserving of a mention. Um, that's really it, though. I mean, I don't think Belly is even in the conversation. I don't think any of the Cubs outfielders are really in the conversation. Um, and then DH, I went with Ozuna, and I didn't think it was particularly close.
Uh did you not pick Shohei Otani?
Oh my!
He should be DH.
I
That's why I was gonna say the same thing. I was gonna say I
was
can't.
he
It's
on the
weird not
ballot?
having Ozuna on here. Yeah, Otani's
Oh,
DH,
I must have just totally
and
overlooked him.
yeah, so it really should be Ozuna. I thought he played outfield. Does he not play outfield
He
anymore?
showed up for me as DH.
Well, he should be in the place of Yelich, but
Yeah,
that's not how things went. So, and then catcher, did you go William Contreras?
I did Will Smith as number 2.
Mm, okay,
I
got
think
it.
Will Smith has a case.
Yeah.
The catching position is pretty deep. I mean, Real
Well, we
Muto.
know we know we know how we're gonna market this video. One guy leaves Shohei Otani off the All Star ballot. Tune in why. Turns out he just didn't see him on the
I
list.
go, it's not even close either, is what I said. The guy that I have the most,
Uh,
my most bet MVP is the guy I left off my ballot. That's great.
Funny stuff. All right, yeah. So that was a pretty similar list. We can when there's like 2 rounds of voting, but once the All Star team gets announced, we'll go back to this and see if one of us got them all right or who got the closest. That'll be cool. All right, so that's MLB. Let's go into some college baseball here. On our 6 pack a couple weeks ago, we gave out 2 plays, both at 25 to 1 for a quarter unit. That was UNC and Georgia. So UNC advanced through the super regionals. They're in. They play Virginia next weekend in the first game of in Omaha. And then Georgia, they're currently playing as we speak on Monday night. We need them to beat NC State to get into the final 8.
Yep. Kudos to us. We have some closing line value regardless. I think UNC is down to like 5 or 6 to 1 on DraftKings, and we gave it out at 25 to 1. I think
Yep.
I think we did right by our listeners, regardless of any outcomes here.
Yeah. I mean, if you have that 25 to 1, you can always, if they win a couple games, they really just need to get to the championship series and then you can hedge
Yeah,
and make money easy.
and
So
part of the reason
just,
they have such short odds is their first matchup is favorable, um,
yeah.
and then the only 2 teams that are like considered favorites are Tennessee and A&M. So I mean, just avoid them as long as possible, I guess. But
Well, yeah. So
you're looking to
on
hedge.
the left side of the bracket is Tennessee, Florida State at the top, which I think is going to be a bloodbath. I think that's going to be a great game. And then the bottom left is Virginia, North Carolina. So there's a chance that Tennessee does end up losing a game to Florida State, which would be awesome. Because correct me if I'm wrong, it's just those 4 teams are doing a double elimination tournament,
Yeah,
right?
it's a weird structure, and like
Yeah,
you just can't lose twice.
yeah. On the right hand side, it's Kentucky versus the winner of NC State, Georgia. So hopefully we get Georgia there.
I would feel
If
pretty good
not,
about Georgia getting through Kentucky.
I would too. I would too.
This is
And
maybe their
then
toughest game.
I totally agree. And then the bottom is Florida, who just somehow keeps winning against Texas A&M, who's looked really, really strong.
If Florida wins, I'm gonna be pissed because they're not
The
even
whole
that
thing.
good. Yeah, I'm gonna be pissed because they're not that good. They have one really good player, maybe two. I think they have two really good players, one like top 5 pick, and yeah, like I said, they just keep finding ways to win, and it's like for them to win, they'd have to pull off like 10 straight upsets. But SEC, so it's makes
They've
sense.
played the
Fine.
toughest schedule. I know they were like 29 and 28, but we saw 2 years ago the last team to get in as a 3 seed, similar to Florida this year, was Ole Miss, and they won the whole thing at 100-1. So if you're peaking at the right time, you're peaking at the right time. So that's all you can really ask. And like you said, they have Jack Caglione, who's like the two-way Shohei Ohtani of college baseball. That guy's good for a home run. Like, I don't want to say once a game, but pretty darn close.
There's like
So
3 players that it seems like hit a home run every game. It's him, Vance Honeycutt of
Vance
UNC,
Honeycutt, baby.
and who's
Yeah.
that guy for Georgia? I swear,
Congdon.
yeah, I swear
Congdon,
those
yeah.
3, it's just like automatic home run or like a walk. It's crazy.
Yeah. I was just telling my wife a couple days ago, my Vance Honeycutt Cubs jersey is gonna be sick when I buy that in a couple of years. So hopefully some way the Cubs can get their hands on him. But yeah, so the odds right now, Tennessee and Texas A&M are obviously the most likely, but they're around like plus 200, which is just crazy for this sort
Yeah.
of double elimination bracket. I just don't think there's really much value. I think betting this going into next year, especially, I don't think you have to really bet during the regular season. You can find a lot of good spots leading into regionals or kind of right before it. Because really, we did not get North Carolina and Georgia that early.
No, I mean, we got
So
them a couple weeks ago.
yeah,
And
so
really,
that would
none of
be
the outcomes of the conference tournaments ended up mattering a whole lot because, like, Duke won the ACC, and yet it's UNC and Virginia who are going to be in the
an
finals
NC State.
or
Yeah,
in the College World Series and NC State. Yeah, 3 of the 4 teams, 3 of the 8 teams are going to be from the ACC, and the champ didn't even make it.
yeah,
Or Florida State's in the ACC. They have 4.
that's true. Yeah, that's crazy. It's all ACC and SEC.
Yeah,
Surprise, surprise.
usually that's how it is, but there's usually like one other team. There's like either like a TCU or a Coastal Carolina or like a Long Beach State type Cal Fuller, some school like that. Oregon State. There's none of those this year.
Yeah, no, and really there wasn't even anybody in the super regionals like that. I mean, there was Evansville. I know they have one really good pitcher. They beat out the 1 seed East Carolina in that bracket. So that would have been the team, East
Hmm.
Carolina, that would have made the run. But yeah, just a lot of upsets too. I mean, we saw, who was it, the 6 seed or 5 seed Arkansas, 9 Oklahoma, 11 Oklahoma State, who came into the tournament red hot. Arizona, UC Santa Barbara, East Carolina. So
Oh yeah, all these West
just
Coast teams just got destroyed.
yeah. So um my question to you was going to be, do you like that UNC and Georgia on opposite sides of the bracket? Because in a perfect world, they face each other in the finals, and we can
Yeah,
just have a steak dinner and watch every single game. Or would you rather it be they play each other so one has a better chance to make the finals?
I'd probably rather they play each other
I think
because
so too. I
because
yeah,
I don't think I can truthfully tell you I would pick them over Tennessee or A&M when it comes down to that. I'm not saying it's
yeah,
impossible. I mean, Tennessee lost a game to what was it Evansville that beat them?
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
like they won it 2 they won in 2 out of 3. They didn't pull a sweep. So, obviously Georgia's better than Evansville, so like they're capable of it. It's just I don't know, those teams just seem like they have a different level of star power that seems to matter this time of year.
Yeah, I agree. So yeah, I'll keep an eye on that. But go UNC. Hopefully Georgia can pull it off tonight. And yeah, we'll update you guys on that next time. Maybe we'll have some like actual like in game or single game plays, especially for those title series. And then to close things out, we have a little NBA talk. So Celtics, they're up 2-0. I think it's clear that they are the better team. Luka's the best player by a mile, but they are just so deep, and Luka can't do it all by himself. And the Celtics, they haven't even shot the three well. What happens when they shoot 45% from three one game this series? They're going to win by like 30.
Yeah, there's really no way to talk about this series in a way that makes it interesting. Like, unless you're going to give a hot take and be disingenuous and just feed people crap. I mean, it's just not that exciting. The Celtics look like a much better team. The only thing that can make it interesting is Porzingis got a little shaken up. I don't know what he's going to look like the rest of the series. It may not even matter. Like you said, they're not even hitting shots. Tatum hasn't played one of his. Tatum's usually good for one game a series where he goes off, and he hasn't played well shooting at least all series yet. And Luca's played out of his mind, and it just hasn't mattered. Like, yeah, Kyrie can play better. Like he's struggled, but and they'll go back to Dallas. At this point, I'm just hoping Dallas wins a game.
Well, their struggles too have been because of Drew Holiday. He's 9-1 to win Finals MVP, whereas Tatum plus 100, Jaylen Brown plus 185. The Tatum plus 100 is way too
Yeah,
low.
I get it, but I wouldn't bet it.
I get it too, and obviously he probably is going to end up winning, just because this
There's
is
gonna be some game where
that's what they
Jaylen
do.
Brown just looks like shit and Tatum looks really all that matters is as long as he puts up okay numbers and then looks good in the closeout game.
Yeah,
That's what people will remember. They weren't gonna look back and say, "Oh, Holiday in game 2, he was great. He's gotta be
yeah,
good in that last game."
yeah. He's got the stats right now, and he was like 60 or maybe he was like 50-1 to win going into the series, which yeah, I know he's down to 9-1. You don't have to feel like you missed the boat because when he was 51, he didn't have the stats. Now he does have the stats through two games to back it up. They're halfway there. They only have to win two more games. And game three, the Mavs are a 1.5 point favorite. Celtics money line plus 104. Do you like that? Or do you think the
Um,
Mavs win?
you're saying Mavs are plus 104?
No, Celtics money line plus
Oh,
104. Mavs are minus 1.5 point favorite.
I'm not betting any. I bet the Mavs plus 7.5, and they lost by 7, so I cashed. But I didn't feel good about it at all during the game. I probably won't bet another game during the series. Um, gosh, yeah, the under has been kind of juicy with the Celtics lately. It just seems like teams struggle to score on them, which they've got 4 or 5 guys that are pretty good on defense.
Yeah, they can all guard. Yeah. I just don't think there's much value betting the NBA right now. I
No, it's
think
all built in pretty good.
I think we need to shift our attention to the NBA draft. So obviously we had a pretty successful NFL draft. If you followed us, if you checked out my mock draft database website, which we have linked in the episode descriptions and on my Twitter, but for the NBA draft, it's coming up on the 26th, so Wednesday the 26th, about 2.5 weeks from now. And Alexander Sarr out of France, he's minus 210 to go number one, and Zachary Rassar plus 190. So that's who the Hawks are probably deciding in between. Donovan Clingan 12-1. They haven't had anybody in for a workout yet, and that's kind of the first domino to fall. Until we kind of know what happens there, the best we can do is kind of just look at the over under markets. So I will give out one play right now. We're going to add this to the 6 pack, and the rest we're going to kind of have to wait. But so make sure to follow our Twitter, put our notifications on. If we have anything we like, we'll tweet it out because sometimes, if we just record a pod and there's a play that comes out the next day, there's going to be no value when we record our next pod a few days later. So that play is Ron Holland over 8.5, meaning he needs to get drafted 9th or later. So Slade, tell me what you know about Ron Holland.
I know a lot of Bulls fans are hoping he falls to 11 because I think he's someone that they think has some upside. He's a G League guy, right? Like he didn't go to college.
Yeah, So
Yeah,
he's
so
on the
he's
G
another one
League
of those G League
Ignite,
Ignite, yeah. That's
and
really all I know.
that's why they're shutting this down. Is these guys are not they built this team so it's like, all right, these guys are going to be like the top, 1, 2, 3
It's
picks,
not
and that is just
working.
not the case. He struggled a lot. He couldn't shoot. He had turnover issues, and that's why I think he's falling. I think this line should be around 10.5. Like you said, I think 11 is a key spot for him. Um,
He also missed the last 3 months of the season getting hurt and needing surgery. So,
yeah.
I mean, honestly, maybe Scoot's just leaving a sour taste in my mouth, but I just don't feel like any of these kids that go through the Ignite have, like, their head on their shoulders or ready. Not that Scoot's immature, I just don't think a lot of them are ready. Like, who is the best player to go the G League route in the last, like, 5 years? Like, Jalen Green? I mean, they had the Thompson like,
Um,
these kids aren't coming out, like, and doing anything in the
yeah.
league.
Yeah. I was
I'd
just
rather
gonna say
take
the
a kid who
Thompson
went to
twins.
Duke than a kid who played for G League.
Yeah, I totally agree. So yeah, we just have yeah, like you said, there's these random G League guys we don't know a lot about because they're not doing anything special. And so we need to rely on people to get this information from. So in the NFL, we have Daniel Jeremiah and we have Dane Brugler. So those are two guys, Jeremiah and Brugler. In the NBA, who do we have? Put together like this little list here. Tier one, this should be you trust him with your life. Sam Vecini, the athletic. So
Mhm.
any potties on, any mock, any little nuggets he tweets out or writes in his articles, that is, that's actionable info. You can look to that. Tier two, Jonathan Wasserman of Bleacher Report and Jonathan Gavini of ESPN. Both those guys, I trust them pretty well. And then tier three, Kevin O'Connor from The Ringer.
I like
So
O'Connor.
yeah. So I just don't think O'Connor's as plugged in, but he is very knowledgeable. Um,
He was
yeah.
on the
So
Brandon Miller over Scoot bandwagon when it wasn't cool, and, he was right.
yeah, that was good times. Scoot Henderson, baby. I remember the day of the draft, I laid like minus 600 that Brandon Miller was going to go 10 minutes before the draft because the news was out. And I was just like, don't let me down, Shams. Got it done. So yeah, I'm the official bet is Ron Holland over 8.5. We're just doing a 1 unit play.
Is that
And if you
even was
did it,
that minus 110?
yeah, minus 110. And just kind of updating our 6 pack right now. We released our US Open podcast separately with Keel Huber. So please tune into that if you haven't already. This Thursday, the 13th, the US Open starts. And I gave out John Rahm to miss the cut at plus 210. So that is on the 6 pack as well. And then we also have some other plays that I want to talk about. So I gave this out a couple weeks ago. The Birmingham Stallions to win the UFL. They're in the championship game this upcoming weekend.
Right.
Did you know that?
I did not, but,
Well,
I trust you.
I didn't want to text you this past Sunday or Saturday, whenever it was. They were losing 12-0 in the semifinals, and I was like, I can't show my face on this podcast ever again. They benched Adrian Martinez and
Whoa.
They brought Matt Corral in, and he led him to victory. Um, but at the same time, Adrian Martinez got named league MVP today. So they have a little bit of a
Awkward.
quarterback issue on their
That's a
hands.
little bit
Yeah.
of a Tua, Jalen Hurts dilemma.
Yeah. Yeah. Would you, what odds would you need for me to give you Mac Jones to win UFL MVP next year? Do you think that's possible?
I mean, Adrian Martinez freaking blows, dude.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, that's right.
so
There's
I think it's
levels.
definitely
There's levels.
possible.
So yeah, root on the Birmingham Stallions this weekend. That's just one thing I wanted to bring up. Some other things we still have pending, which I know we've talked about several episodes. ago, but you bet the White Sox to have the worst record. They lost like 14 in a row. So
Yep.
that's bravo to you on that. Um, yeah, those are kind of our most recent things. And then I know we lost on the Iga to win the French Open without losing a set. That was at 6-1 for a full unit. She lost one set in the second round. Otherwise, we would have cashed 6 units. So
Honestly,
I
dude,
can
that
tell you,
minus 160 was probably just that. It was probably just that simple. Just the minus 160 to win
I
it.
know, I know. Well, the Olympics are at Roland Garros as well on clay, so we're most likely gonna just end up betting her and cashing in that free unit. She's unreal on clay. She won her 4th title there in 5 years. She's 23 years old. She just turned 23 at the end of May. So yeah, she's a special talent. Wimbledon's coming up on grass, not her strength. I would probably look towards betting Sabalenka or Rybakina if you're interested, but we can have more to come on that. That's not for a couple more weeks. But yeah, it's kind of been the year of the chalk, man. So we have Scotty Scheffler winning everything. We got Iga winning. Carlos Alcaraz, UConn basketball.
Duke or not Duke. Yankees and the Dodgers are in first place.
Yep. Patrick Mahomes wins another Super Bowl, even though they were kind of an underdog. So,
The
yeah,
Celtics are going to go wire to wire as the favorite.
yeah,
It's kind of crazy.
just
Them and the Nuggets have been. I think at no point this year, I would have to look, but the Celtics were probably the favorite since what, Christmas?
probably before. I think they were the favorites the whole year.
Yeah, because the West
So,
was so strong. Yeah.
yeah. So, year of the chalk. So that probably means Tennessee or Texas A&M will win.
Yeah, I was
But
just thinking
if you think
Purdue.
this keeps going, you can just use these things as like parlay pieces because there's just not a lot of value betting the favorite, but it does come in more than you'd think, obviously. So, yeah. I think that's all we got on here, man. Are any other closing thoughts for you?
No, nothing.
Okay. Well, everybody, we appreciate you guys tuning in. Remember our 6-pack plays were John Rahm to miss the cut for the U.S. Open this week, and then Ron Holland over 8.5 selected in the NBA draft. So plenty more to come. Please check out our U.S. Open pod that we recorded with Keel on June 10th. We recorded both of those tonight back to back, so a little double episode for you. So please listen, tell your friends, subscribe to the YouTube, buy some merch. Yeah, we just really appreciate it, and we'll catch you guys next time. This has been another episode of Bet GPT.